I find something very interesting that happened in court in New Mexico. The New Mexico Supreme Court on Friday handed down a decision against a Christian couple who simply wanted to live their faith. That's it. The language that the Supreme Court handed down should send a chill down your spine. Justice Richard Bosson stated that the defendants were compelled to compromise their very religious beliefs that inspire their lives. End quote. The judge went on to say, quoting, "It is the price of citizenship," end quote. What is this story about? This story is about a Christian couple that are photographers, and a homosexual couple came in and said, "We want you guys to photograph our wedding." The Christian couple said, "No, we're not going to do that." Well, why not? Well, because we don't believe in homosexual marriage. Now, here's how I respond to that. I don't want you photographing my wedding then. If I had people who said to me, "I don't believe that you should be marrying your wife because she's Italian," I wouldn't want them. I wouldn't want them. So what do? Well, they decide that their right to have this couple photograph their wedding trumps this couple's right to disagree.
The religious liberty.
Yeah, it is.
How do you
make
that determination?
It is the price of citizenship.
No, it's not.
No, it is according to New Mexico Supreme Court now. If this goes to the Supreme Court, do you know that they will decide otherwise? I don't.
Oh, no, you can't depend on them at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, you'll have John Roberts come out with, you know, he's been crying himself to sleep all night. "I don't want to be called names. I don't want to go down as a guy who was a bad guy in the Supreme Court. I don't want that." And he'll come out with red eyes and he'll be like, "Yeah, I guess there's no religious liberty anymore."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I completely believe that's how that would turn out.
It's exactly how it will turn out.
Think of how insane that is. I mean, to be able to choose what job you go on, to be able to choose... And as you would think, as a photographer, essentially choosing the subject of your art. You're not now allowed to choose the subject of your art. These are liberals advocating this. And I guess I understand.
I guess now the signs that say we reserve the right to refuse anyone at restaurants are completely out the window because you can't refuse service to anyone.
Right, or
apparently.
And it's
no, it's not a constitutional.
If they're homosexual,
not
anyway.
a constitutional right, but a constitutional right. Yeah, I don't have a constitutional right to get married. I don't have a constitutional right to get married. Name it. Which one is it? And I'm not talking about homosexual. I'm talking about anybody. Mm-hmm. I don't have the constitutional right to get married. I do have the constitutional right to practice my religion, and that's why I've been saying, conservatives, you've argued the wrong case the whole time. If you want to have a religion that marries homosexual couples, that's that religion's deal. That's just their deal. Fine. My religion disagrees with that. But their religion could say that, and that's fine. That's their deal. But once you start to say, once you get the state involved, marriage is a religious ceremony. It is a religious right. At least that's the way I view it. It's a religious right. I have the right to practice my religion. In my religion, I'm not married from time and all eternity. No preacher can marry, no judge can marry me and give me my marriage certificate. I'm married for time and all eternity. My wife and I are married for all eternity, not till death do us part. We actually, unlike others that everybody dies and they're all like, "Oh, grandma and grandpa are together again." Everybody believes that. Everybody believes that. But then, somehow or another, when you actually get down to deep doctrine, everybody's like, "No, well, that's not actually true. That's not actually true." What? Then why are you saying it? I happen to believe it. My church happens to believe that. And so we're married. Well, I can't get that from a civil ceremony. I have a religious ceremony and a religious underpinning of my marriage. And so that's just the way it is. So what is the government even doing in my marriage? I get no value from the government in my marriage. And even if you're an atheist, do you get value in your marriage from the government? What difference does it make what the government does? The government has no right to tell us who can be married and who cannot be married, period. Now, what we've done instead is we've argued the progressive argument the whole time that there should be the government involved in our bedrooms. They should be involved in our marriages. No, they shouldn't. And everybody knows they shouldn't. How can you legislate love? Okay, I'm with that. So then what the hell are you doing in the legislation business, in the love business at the same time? It makes no sense. And so that doesn't make you a bigot. That makes you somebody who understands your constitutional rights to believe and have your own right of conscience. You want to believe that? Believe that. Fine.
This isn't even that, though. This is a private business being forced to do something against their religious liberties.
Yes.
It's a private
but what they're
business.
trying to do
doesn't want to.
Because what they're saying is you are violating someone's civil right.
No, you're not, because they could go elsewhere.
Right.
You're not violating anybody's rights. There's a million different photographers you can use. You don't have the right to use this one.
Them?
And why would you want
Why
to?
would you want them?
And only that, you don't have the right to force them to take pictures at your wedding.
He says that if you have, think of this, because if this stands, here goes your birth control. Here goes your paying for abortions. All of it falls under this. That if the law says one thing and your religion says another, you don't have the right to not obey the law because of your religion.
I don't think we've ever gone down this road before.
Never.
Well, to the point where they used to allow Native Americans to smoke peyote or whatever in their religious ceremonies.
Right.
They granted them the right.
Because and who do you know
that?
who has ever said that? Who do you know has ever said that was a problem? I never
Nobody.
did. As long as it was truly a religious experience.
Right.
If you were
That's
like,
right.
no, man, I'm totally Indian out, then I don't buy it. But if you are truly, and that's part of your religious ceremony, you should have that right.
Yeah.
And there's a line too between, like, if you're operating a restaurant, right? You can't just say, well, I don't like white people in my restaurant and I don't like women in my restaurant. I mean,
quite honestly, first of all, I think when it comes to women, I will bet you that there are places that say no men in this restaurant and can get away with it. And I don't have a problem with that. If you're a guy who says, you know what, we're doing a men's club. We're doing men's club.
And there are men's clubs, obviously.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a strip bar. I'm just saying we're a cigar
Well, they do have
smoking.
those.
Yeah,
they have
I know
clubs like that. Yeah.
I know, but I'm saying if you have, we're smoking jacket and pipes only and no females allowed. I don't have a problem with that.
Right. Yeah. That's a private club, though, right? What's the difference? Because there's a legal line. Like, you can't bar black people from your restaurant. Like,
right.
That's part of civil rights legislation. So, I mean, if the legislation is similar in New Mexico, which I'm not familiar with all their statutes, but if you have some statute where you can't ban black people, and they say they've extended that to gender identity or whatever. Even that, though, isn't there a line? Because you can do... if it's something where you're walking in off the street into a diner, there are different things than a private men's club, like a golf club that says no women are allowed.
Hang on just a second. Why can the first lady I believe this was her thesis in Princeton, why can she say and be a part of a club that was fighting Princeton because they said, you can't have an all black club. You can't do that. And she fought that they have to have an all-black club. Why can you have an all-black club, but you can't have an all-white club? I don't want to belong to an all-white club. No. I think that's a really bad sign. I think if you're saying, you know what, I just don't want any of them blacks around, that's a problem. Yeah. If you're in a club that's like, I don't want any of those white people around, that is a problem. But how come the First Lady can argue that at Princeton for all black clubs, but you're telling me the common sense rule that no, we can't do that.
Of course, we all, I think, know the answer to this, which is it's a complete double standard, and there's not one piece of logic connected to it.
And you know what that comes from? That comes from someone else. We have given up control of our lives and our common sense. So we have given control to people. Once you give control to people and you say, well, they issue the rights, well, they enforce it because we can't handle it because we're too stupid. Once you give up that control, then somebody can pick and choose what they want. So nothing ever changes. It just depends on who's in power. That's why the power has got to remain with you.
Doesn't this go back to what you talk about as well with political correctness in general, where it just shuts people up? Next time someone who's opposed to gay marriage gets someone coming in who's gay and they ask them, they're going to find scheduling conflicts. Or they're going to find another reason that they can't do it.
I can't say, boy, I would love to. Man.
Why does that help society?
It doesn't.
It would be better if they came out and they said, you know what, we're not going to do it. And then people could have a public debate. And over time, if your side is right, you'll win. Why would you want something instead where these people are going to get angry about it, that they have to hide what they feel, and then just come up with scheduling conflicts and other things that are going to screw the people coming in to get the pictures? Well, it doesn't make any sense.
And when it rubs up against your religious sensibilities, that's where the Constitution kicks in, and you've got a right to turn down the service.
You are being asked to violate your religious belief. There is nothing more. That's the only thing we say. Everybody's got to serve. Everyone has to serve in the military if there's a draft. Unless your religion says no. So we recognize this in all walks of life, that if your religion says no, because I believe it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's not killing. It's war. It's war. There's a difference. There's a difference between murder and war. Their religion says no. No, there's no difference. Killing is killing, period. The commandment says thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill. War is murder. All killing is off. We allow that and say, okay, for you, there's a special exemption. But apparently, I can't run my own business. When there are other people, they will be fine with it. They'll be fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just our national defense, not wedding photos. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I guess, does the ruling make it so they can't have the most blurry wedding photos of all time? Like, just open up
you know what? Quite honestly, yeah, that'll open them up to another lawsuit.
Yeah, they'll get
sued for that. And you know what? They better be the best photos. They better be the best photos you've ever taken. Mm-hmm. Because if that couple doesn't like one of the photos, they'll sue them again. Yeah. Now, the question is, do they actually have them? Because now they've had to pay, a $7,000 fine. This couple's life has been destroyed. And what do they do? Most likely, what do they do? They're like, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. And so what does that leave you with? And you can't do that. You cannot do that. You can't just give up and say, I'm just not going to do it. Because then what do you do? And what about all the rest of the people behind you? And what about your children? You can't give up the fight. But when I say that, I just gave a speech at a Christian university, Heritage Christian University in Alabama on Saturday. Was it Saturday, Pat? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I went out there, spoke for, about an hour about civil rights and about God and what's happening to us. And here I am at this Christian university, and I said, I want you to understand something. If you actually believe these things, then we must stand for the homosexuals that are being stoned to death. It doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. It doesn't matter. We don't kill each other like this. We don't hate each other. We love each other.
Not sure where the Media Matters article was on that. But, I must have missed it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not going to, it's not, because they don't understand, and nobody really in the press, I think. It's such odd thinking for people. And it shouldn't be. It used to be, before the progressive movement, this is the way Americans thought. If it doesn't pick my pocket, if it doesn't break my leg, what difference is it to me? Mm-hmm. You have a right to do. That's what we came here for. And we, especially for religious freedom. And now the Supreme Court of New Mexico has just said there's a price to your citizenship. Look out. You don't want to pay for abortions. You're going to be soon if this stands.